Okay, welcome back, it's Charlie here. So in today's video, I'm going to be covering everything you need to know about whether you should be selling high ticket or low ticket in your online business. Now, it's very important you build your business around your life, not your life around a business. I see a very common trap that beginners make when they do start to scale. They become a slave to their clients, and it's just not what they were expecting when they got into this whole entrepreneurship space. So I'm going to go over the pros and cons, literally all the details you need to know. So by the end of the video, you're going to have a crystal clear understanding of which, pricing structure would suit your desired lifestyle, so you can build a business around your life, not the other way around. So first of all, I wanted to get into this graph because it's important you understand this, and I am actually going to get into what I'm doing at the end of this video. So keep watching so you can actually, basically just funnel hack me and understand what I'm doing as of today. So first of all, let's talk about this graph. So on the y-axis, we have the total addressable market, the TAM. Now, this basically means how many people there are in your specific industry or niche. Or if you're in a sub niche, then obviously it's going to be a lot lower. So what you want to do, right, is you want to see how many people are in your market compared to the purchasing power of those people in your market. So what I mean by purchasing power is how many people in your niche actually have the ability to spend a ton of money. So if they have low purchasing power towards the zero, then they can't spend 5,000-10,000 up front. If they have a high purchasing power, then they can, obviously. So what you want to do, right, is you want to see which line fits into your niche and the purchasing power within your niche. So for example, let's just use agency owners as an example, which you probably are watching this. There's quite literally probably over 1 million agency owners. So there's a high total addressable market towards the 10 mark, but the purchasing power is probably quite low because they're all probably young. So it would make sense to have a mid-ticket option, which is why you see so many courses around that $1,000 mark, is because it's the sweet spot. Whereas if you were working with, high-end real estate companies, then maybe there's a mid to low ticket total addressable market compared to agency owners, but there's a very high purchasing power, which means that you can charge, 5 figures up front for a deal. So that is one thing to consider when it comes to high versus low ticket. But the point of this video wasn't to actually talk about that all video. It was to go over the pros and cons of both, so you can actually, have clarity around which one would suit your personality and characteristic traits, which is very important. So first of all, let's talk about high ticket. So high ticket, what are the pros and cons? So what I'll do is I'll put pros here, and I'll put cons here, and I'm going to list out 4, that's a very bad line, but I'm going to list out 4 pros and cons for each. So the first one is going to be a pro. Now, I've got some notes actually onto my screen over there, which I'm looking at. So the pros of high ticket is that you don't need an audience. So little to no audience. I kind of spelled that wrong, but you don't need really a brand to sell high ticket. So what that means is that we can have less people but pay us a lot more to make quite a bit of money. And just for argument's sake, I'll say high ticket is anything over $2,000, and low ticket is anything around less than $500 a month. I would consider that low ticket, especially in the B2B space. So yeah, you don't need an audience. You don't need too much marketing experience because you're selling to less people, but you do need to understand how to sell. So I would argue that one of the pros of high ticket is that it teaches you how to sell, how to communicate, I'll put comms, and then also it teaches you persuasion and how to kind of be extroverted. So I was naturally introverted, so I actually made my first six figures online by selling high ticket, which actually was a good thing because it told me how to get out of my shell. I had to learn how to sell, become confident, have conviction in what I was selling. So I think it's very good for beginners to sell high ticket, as it will teach you these three things here, which is really important. The next one is, the pros is that, I'm trying to think here. So yeah, starting out, I recommend going with high ticket, but you need to be an expert in your field, which is a downside, which I'll talk about in a minute, but I actually want to make this like that so you can make it nice and presentable. But I guess the other one is if you haven't made 6 figures, then I recommend going for it. So haven't made 6 figures, but 6 figs. It makes sense to go with high ticket, and that's what I did to get to that 6-figure online mark, was to sell to less people but higher ticket. And I mean, another pro is actually that you'll get them better results, because if someone pays you more money, then they're more committed, they've got more skin in the game, and they're going to actually be more invested in what you're doing. So another pro is that you'll get better results, hopefully. However, the cons is that, you need to be able to meet client expectations. So you need to deliver results. So need to deliver, I'll put results. That's obviously very important. If you can't deliver results, then that's going to be a problem. But the good part is that you're going to have clients who are willing to help you get to that next level, because they have more skin in the game and they've invested more. So another con is that you're going to get diminishing returns. So diminishing returns. So what I mean is, as you scale and as you make money, the profit margins are going to get a lot less, which is just natural. You need to hire people, you need to hire operations, sales teams. You get the point, right? It's going to get less profit margins for you as you scale. Another con is that it's going to become stressful. I'll put stressful. And I don't know if I linked this as the other one, but yeah, I'll put this here. So a slave to your clients. It can be quite contradictive, because we're probably, one of the whole reasons you got into this online space or starting an agency or coaching business was probably because you wanted more freedom and you wanted to not be told what to do every day. However, if you are selling high ticket and it's especially done for you, then you can become a slave. Now, if you're selling done with you, so consulting or coaching, that kind of thing, then you can sort of remove this part quite a bit, but your results may not be as prevalent, and also it is kind of harder to sell done with you. But nonetheless, if you're in coaching, then it makes sense to go for high ticket, especially if you don't have a massive brand, then it would make sense. But there's pros and cons, so you really need to figure out what works best for you. But if you are a beginner, I do recommend going with high ticket and using it as a stepping stone to understand sales, get better at communicating, get better at delivering results. So it's just a great all-round thing to start with if you're a beginner, basically. Now I want to go over low ticket. So I'll quickly rub this out. And if you keep watching, I'm going to explain exactly what I'm doing in about 5 minutes. So you do not want to miss that, because I've sort of got a sweet spot in between the two. So now let's talk about low ticket. I don't want this video to be too long, but I'll do the same thing. We've got pros, we've got cons. So the pros of low ticket is that it's pretty much infinite scalability. Infinite scalability. Now it depends. If you're selling info, so it depends actually, I should have pointed this out, but it depends what you're selling as low ticket. If you're selling info, or ideally info if you are doing a low ticket, but if you're selling software, then it's still pretty scalable. But like info is the ultimate glitch, basically, because you can just sell like one thing for a few $100s or a monthly subscription and just get it to as many people as possible, and there's not really any work on your end. But once again, that does come with cons, because it may seem like a dream to be able to make a ton of money without actually dealing with people, but trust me, you need to be able to market. So I'll get into the cons in a second. Another pro of low ticket is that it's less stressful, so less stress. Another one is no sales calls, which is a massive one. So there's no sales calls. Don't know why I like that. And another one is, I think I put stress already. So yeah, you can actually build a list. So build a list of qualified buyers, because if someone buys low ticket, whether it's info, software, it means that they have actually put their card in and they've got better buying tendencies and better buyer behavior to be able to buy the next thing. So if someone buys something for $100, they could, or most likely will buy something for 1,000, compared to someone who's just not willing to buy anything. So their action threshold is quite high to buying, which is good. So you can build a list, and then what you can do is in the future you can actually sell them on a higher ticket thing. Or we can talk about SLO offers and self-liquidating offers in a second. But once again, if you're a beginner, I don't recommend utilizing that, because you just don't need to. You can stick with one thing to one person and solve one problem, which is what I recommend if you're a beginner. So the cons of low ticket is that you actually need to be good at marketing. So you need marketing experience, and you need to be bloody good at it, because you need to get hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, to give you money in order to actually make the equivalent to if you were selling high ticket. So you need to be really good at marketing. So it makes sense if you have a big personal brand, you don't want sales calls, you want a less stressful life and you want more freedom, then it makes sense to go with low ticket. But once again, downside is if you're selling info, sometimes, it's not going to be recurring revenue. So I was actually going to put here, but churn is a massive factor, because if you're selling like a one-off, like digital product, like, a course or something of that nature, then you obviously won't get churn, but what you will get is no recurring revenue. Whereas if you sell subscription or a membership that you pay on a monthly basis, $100, $50 a month, then you'll experience churn. So you need really good structure. Another one is that you're not going to get the best client results, so not best results. Now, the reason for that is, once again, they don't have much skin in the game when they come on board for $100 or a few $100s. They're not as invested in it as they should be. Whereas if you get someone who pays you a few thousand, they're going to actually do the work, and they're going to be way more invested in, you'll probably get better the results for them. So the final one is it takes time. So it takes time to build a personal brand in which you can actually sell a ton of people onto this low ticket info product, basically. So in conclusion, there is no right or wrong. However, if I was a beginner, I would highly suggest you start out with high ticket and then transition to maybe a low ticket in a year or a few years once you've built a brand and you actually have, information that you can sell to people. So yeah, kind of use the high ticket as a stepping stone, but you could just transition to high ticket for, infinite time, because if you're selling something that is actually valuable, then it makes sense to position it as a mid or high ticket program or course. So now I did promise you that I would explain what I'm actually doing in my business. So I'm going to stick to my word and actually give you that. So here's the real source, right? When you have I wouldn't say a micro personal brand, but like I don't have, a ton of subscribers. I think as you're watching this, I probably have around 7,000, or I'm close to hitting 7,000. However, if you're coming back in the future, then maybe I'll have a lot more. I don't know. But I have a I would say for my niche is pretty decently sized. So what I'm doing is I'm essentially running low ticket. So if we talk about school, I'm running low ticket to get a list of qualified buyers, because if someone buys something for $100, they are likely to buy something for 1,000, 2,000. So I'm collecting a list of qualified buyers who will then maybe buy high ticket in the future. And if we can dial in the speed to lead, so what I mean by speed, I'll put speed to lead, is that when someone buys low ticket, we collect their data, we upsell them to the high ticket and make a ton of money. So this is also known as an SLO. So an SLO offer, when using this in advertising because the low ticket can break even on the ad spend. So, for example, you send $100. So you don't send. Let's say you spend $100 on Instagram ads, and you get one low ticket client. You break even on the front end, which means that you don't make anything. I mean, you might make something in terms of lifetime value if it's a subscription that you're selling. But my point is that you get data. So you break even from the ad spend with the low ticket, but then you have data. You have a list of qualified buyers in which you can then upsell. So this means that you can actually lose money on the front end. So let's say you spend $2,000 a month on ads, and you essentially lose $500 because you don't get many low ticket buyers. But then if you have an SDR or someone to sell, a sales rep, the high ticket, and you sell 2 people out of the, let's say, 50 who buy the low ticket, which ideally you'd want a lot more, because for every 10 people who buy low ticket, you should be able to get one of them to buy the high ticket. But let's just say, I don't know, for some reason you've got really bad, a sales team, or it's you doing the sales, and you can only convert 2 people out of 25. And let's say the high ticket is a 5K offer. So what you've done is you've spent 2K on the ad spend per month. You've lost 500, so you've made 1,500. But you've got a list of 50 people who have bought the low ticket, and then you get 2 people to buy this. You've essentially made, I don't want to do the maths wrong here, but you've made like 8 grand or so profit, even though you've lost money on the front end doing the ads. So that is currently my plan. I'm not running ads as of yet, but I'm going to start very soon. But even so, just me selling low ticket, I'm making a decent amount of it because I actually have a brand which I've built up over the last, this year or so. Not this year, but 2023. That's what I spent some of my time doing. So I have the ability to sell low ticket because I have a brand. But once again, if you haven't sold 6 figures online and you're a beginner, I would recommend high ticket. It is the best, as it will teach you sales, communication, just everything. And you can use it as a stepping stone, or you could just continue selling high ticket if you're able to deal with the stress. But I know a lot of people don't like to do that. So yeah, hopefully this video helped. If it did, just like and subscribe. Hopefully it gave you a bit more clarity around what you should be selling and how you should price your pricing structure. And yeah, follow me on Instagram as well, because I'm posting daily updates on there. Subscribe. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, and I'm currently posting daily videos. So yeah, that would mean a lot if you could actually hit the subscribe button and like. And if you've gotten to this point, just put in the comments what videos you want next on the channel, and I'll catch you in the next video.